everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Coaching Call podcast. On this podcast, we'll cover various types of coaching by trainers in sports, martial arts, fitness, and business. We'll discuss each coach's methods to getting the most out of their respective athletes or clients and how they attempt to change the platform in which they coach. Join us on a fun adventure as we discuss unique coaching styles. Coaching is a universal part of how we get others to get something done. Join your host, Rafael, and his guests on this unique journey in coaching.
Hi, I'm Sifu Rafael, and this is the Coaching Call podcast. If you enjoy this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. This episode was made possible by listeners like you. Andy, how are you? How's everything going with you?
Oh, so well. Happy New Year. I'm thrilled to be with you.
Oh my God, it is my pleasure. I got to tell you, when we first met, I had no idea. But when you started telling me a little bit about you, I was like blown away. You have
Wow.
accomplished so much in your life. And one of them is you're on General Hospital. You've done all these things. You're on QVC. You're everywhere. And I love that. And I really want to get to know you even more. Is that okay?
Well, of course. That's very sweet. Yes, I'm happy to. If you have a question, that's awesome. I am the latest cast member on General Hospital. I'm 54 years old. This is my very first acting job, which is insane to think about. But yeah, let's take on whatever questions you have.
Great. So take me back to where were you born and who touched upon your life in a positive way, even before age of 10 or negative way, right? Because around that age, it's how we lead the rest of our lives sometimes.
Yeah, so there's some really big moments in my life that kind of changed the trajectory of my life and who I am. I was raised in a very small town in Alabama. I was raised by my grandparents. My parents did not stay together very long, and I was a twin. So there was a lot. And so my grandparents raised me. I went to a small Christian Catholic school. I had a lot of churching growing up. I was literally in a Catholic school every morning at 7:30 before school, and then I was at a Baptist church all day on Sunday. So there was a lot of strict rules and a lot of good homegrown food and all that stuff that you expect from kind of small town grandparents, kind of rearing. But the biggest kind of thing that really has made me who I am is, for some reason, I was 5'11" by the time I was 10 years old. And so, yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think about. I was the tallest person in the 5th grade in the entire school. That included like the cafeteria workers, all the teachers, the janitorial staff, like everybody. So because I was so tall, I was pushed into sports, which helped me, build a lot of confidence. And then ultimately I was, pushed into modeling. So at the age of 17, I had the confidence and, kind of the belief with God's help that I was going to be okay. I dropped out of high school. I moved to New York at the age of 17. I got my GED, and my agent helped me get right into college. And so at 17, I moved to New York all by myself and started a whole different life. But I know that if God had not made me tall, that I'd probably be, the number one checker at the Piggly Wiggly.
And there's nothing wrong with anybody who's at the Piggly Wiggly.
No.
You did say something that caught my attention, and you said you were a twin. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So, yes, I was a twin. It's a good point. As I mentioned, I'm 54. My twin sister, we were 30, committed suicide, and she didn't go out alone. She took out her boyfriend, which was awful. So it was a murder-suicide, and it was a very, very difficult and tragic thing to lose a twin. We were very different. I mentioned I was 5'11". By the time I was 10 years old, my twin sister never even saw 5'5". So we were very different people. We were obviously fraternal twins. We were not identical. And, her life was, very different from mine. So she was plagued with a lot of mental issues and, we just had very different paths in life. It's actually a lot of the reason why I was ready to leave at 17. She was very mentally challenged, and it was very
Mm.
hard to be the twin of someone who had such a difficult psychological existence. So it was a lot of the reason I was like, oh, I can go somewhere and make a living, and yeah, not be around this. Yeah, I'm ready to do that. I mean, I of course, she's a twin. I mean, we were in the womb together. She was like my closest sister. You can imagine, but it was definitely hard. And to be honest, at 17, I was definitely ready to be away from that.
Right. Gotcha. Gotcha. So the question that I have is, how often do you now think of her?
Oh, well, it's very interesting. The universe and God works in mysterious ways. So I am married now. This is my second marriage. My first marriage lasted 15 years, and now then this is my second marriage, and we've been married for
Mm.
15 years. But um, when when we first started dating, I didn't think I was interested in dating anyone with kids. I knew that I kind of didn't want to have children myself, but man plans and God laughs. So my now husband had 6 month identical twins when we started dating,
Wow.
and that was
Wow.
it was very very it was a scary thing to think about, but helping and contributing and supporting the raising of twins has been so cathartic and so healing and
Mm.
wonderful. And so, to answer your question, I think about my twin sister all the time because
Wow.
I am a very strong and active participant in raising twins who, we've been together a really long time. They have no memory without me. I mean, I literally diapered them. So
Mm.
it's been wonderful to be able to heal in that way in the raising of twins, and to know what mistakes not to make. You know what I mean? So I've been
I
able
love it.
to make sure that whatever mistakes or missteps in my rearing has not actually happened to them.
Mm. I love when you talked about God's plan,
Yeah,
right?
right,
Because man, we can make plans, but God is going to
right.
laugh because He's like, that's not my plan either.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
the
My
the
grandmother
fact,
used to say that man plans and God laughs.
yeah, I love it. That's a great saying. And God planned this for you, and it's brought some healing to you.
Yeah,
I
for
think of
sure.
my brother. He died at 42 from blood problems,
Mm.
but every day I walk out of my bathroom and his picture's right there. So every day I say hi to
Oh,
him. And it's a
that's awesome.
beautiful thing when I didn't cry when he'd passed because
Oh,
I all I did was remember how funny he was. And because he knew he was dying, we had 2 weeks to spend with him before he died. So we were able to actually say goodbye. I know that you didn't have that with your sister, but and I know you
that's
tell me she
wonderful,
was
though.
troubled. It
Yeah.
was. Have you, and this might be a little tough, but have you forgiven her?
Oh, that is so hard. That's such a good point. You mentioned you didn't cry. I didn't cry. I didn't cry
Mm.
because she had been troubled and she had tried to, kill herself many times, to be perfectly frank. So, my response was, this one worked. So
Mm.
but the saddest part for me was that she took someone else out, that she
Right.
killed someone else as she went away or she passed on. Um, Forgiving suicide is very hard because you know that they are in a desperate place. But because she, attempted suicide so many times, and I know that it was a cry for help, um, and it caused so much turmoil and so much grief, it is hard to forgive suicide for sure,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
people just don't understand that it is such a selfish thing to do. There's so many unanswered questions. It leaves people just so plagued and riddled with guilt. Um, and so um, it just feels very mean. I know that that sounds weird, but it feels so mean not to
Mm.
be more forthcoming. and try to solve your life. But
Right.
yes, of course, I have forgiven her. I have forgiven her. Uh, it is a very difficult thing to say. And no one has
Yeah.
ever asked me that question, Sifu. Um, but I've had to forgive her to, heal myself. And without a doubt, raising twins has helped me do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, forgiving her, and you just said it, it was to heal you. And I
Yes,
believe
that's right.
forgiveness is not about the other person. Right. I always consider that. Uh,
Yeah.
you went to New York at 17 by
Yeah.
yourself. Let's get
Yeah.
into that. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think about that now because, I have these teenage girls, and I can only tell you that I had a very good education, and I had confidence, and I also had just a strong belief. Like, I've always thought that God was my bud. I talk to God every day. I believe that I listen, and I had a foundation of, I knew what was right, what was wrong. I've still to this day never done a drug in my life. I wasn't interested in the drug scene. I just wanted a better, bigger, broader, more exciting life than, what Alabama had to offer. And so when I got the opportunity, I was like, yes, I am doing that. And I am going to, make the most of it. And I've kind of practiced that my whole life. But because I had the foundation of really good morals, good values, and a lot of faith, I just believed that I was going to be okay. And
Mm.
I have been.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, what was your first opportunity, if you will, when you got to
Yeah.
New York at 17?
Well, I'm really fortunate that, the whole reason I moved to New York is I was able to sign a modeling contract with a great agency, and I moved into the model's home. So I moved into a home that was crazy. You want to talk about drugs? Oh my gosh. I watched
Oh
models,
my goodness.
do heroin in between their toes, and,
Oh,
like, I mean, yeah,
wow.
cocaine, and like everything you can imagine. And so I realized really quickly that I was grateful for the opportunity to live there and have a place to live, but I really needed to have my own apartment as soon as I could. So very quickly, I turned 18 just a little bit after moving to New York, and I basically just started applying for small apartments. And I had these two wonderful old gentlemen who were willing to give me a chance, and they basically, let me sign a lease at 18.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I had my own apartment pretty swiftly. And I got into college and, just did everything that I could with modeling, part-time jobs. I mean, you name the job, I did it. I was a bartender in the theaters. I sprayed people, perfume at Macy's. I was an undercover shopper at, stores. There's not a kind of, side hustle that I did not try and did not do in New York to keep myself afloat for years until I could get out of school.
Mm, mm. So you bring a really good point about the ugliness of modeling,
Oh, yeah.
of drugs affecting
Mm.
so many different communities, but one that we never consider when we have glamour involved. But
Yeah,
glamour brings some of the ugliness, doesn't it?
it does. I mean, in the 80s, we're talking about, so I moved to New York in 87.
Mhm.
It was very different. I mean, I know that the modeling industry is completely changed. And even though I was in it for, 15 years, um, what I experienced and what I saw in the 80s was a lot of drugs, a lot of girls being taken advantage of for sure.
Mhm.
There was only one time where I felt I was being compromised, and I got out of there pretty quickly. But there were a lot of girls who didn't. And, if they
Mhm.
needed the job, or if they didn't have as much confidence, or, so yes, there was a seedy and desperate side to that. I definitely feel like the industry as a whole, both in television and movies and in modeling, all of that has changed, and women definitely have a stronger voice. Men aren't in charge of
Mhm.
everything anymore. A lot of women have their own production companies, or doing their own thing. A lot of the choices now are made by women and not men. So it's definitely not the same. We're talking, 40 years ago, right? Almost 40 years ago.
Right,
So
right.
think
Yes.
it's crazy to think about, but it is different. But I definitely saw the seedier side of things for sure. I
Mm.
lived with a model who was so addicted to drugs, she ended up being homeless and living on the
Mm.
street. And I
Wow.
ended up helping her financially through my 30s. Like she would reach out, she's like, I literally don't have a morsel to eat. And she would come to
Oh
my
my
apartment and
goodness.
I would give her food and $20
Wow.
because she knew that I wasn't going to, let her starve. But
Mm.
yeah, I definitely saw some crazy things.
Yeah. The more I listen to you, the more I realize that your beauty is not just external, but
Oh,
it's
well,
internal.
that's very sweet. That's very sweet. I
It's
definitely think that both are important.
oh yeah. And there are so many people who are beautiful on the outside, but inside they're like rotten, like a tomato. Um,
Oh,
did you ever participate in Fashion Week? Because during the 87 time period, I used to go to some of the fashion weeks. I used to be there, right? So I don't even know if I ever saw you if you participated in those, but in New York, that's I used to go to those. So it was a lot of fun, a lot of beautiful women, beautiful men, beautiful people everywhere, and the cameras were like gazillion. Did you ever participate?
of course. As a matter of fact, runway was kind of my specialty. I loved it. It was the
Mm.
real. I mean, a lot of modeling is performing, but that was a real performance. So yes, I definitely have the benefit of kind of experiencing it all. I was a great and sought after runway model. I've got a few covers under my belt. I've done catalog. I was really fortunate that I did it all, including fit. I did a lot of fit modeling as well. So um,
Mm.
I I'm very, very blessed that I enjoyed every aspect of that. And New York City in itself, just moving to New York at an age where you're eager to soak in whatever education it offers. New York teaches you a lot. It opens your
Oh
eyes
yeah.
to a lot. And I'm very fortunate that it watered me and just kind of let me grow. So
Mm.
yeah, there's not one experience in my life that has not led to who I am today and who I'll be tomorrow. So runway was definitely one of those things I enjoyed, and who knows, you may have seen me on the runway for sure.
Yeah, beautiful. Um, Talk to me about New York parties. Did you go to
Oh,
them? Because they were
I'm sure.
crazy. I've been to them. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was just talking about this because I'm on General Hospital, and I actually had an opportunity to date a few of the people from General Hospital back in the '80s, and I won't tell you
Mm,
who. But the way that parties used to work, it's crazy. So every modeling agency had what was known as their book, and their book was basically a book of all of their models, and it had their cards or
mhm,
their it's almost like a Facebook because it basically had their composition cards in it. So it was a book of all their cards. And the book would not only go out to clients, the book went out to A&R agents, to music
mm,
agents. It went out to, Capitol Records and like all of these amazing places. And literally, I can remember like Atlantic Records, we would get a call or the agency would get a call and they would request specific models to be at different parties.
mhm, mm,
And that was just how it was just another way for us to go and have a great time. And it was, another kind of, jewel in our crown, if you will. But yeah, the modeling book went out to all of the A&R agents, all of the music industry and everybody. And we would be requested to show up at parties a lot. So the
mm.
parties were definitely crazy. And I would go, and I would have a lot of, first dates and I would show up for this person or that person. But I was never someone who kind of engaged in a lot of activity. So I had a lot of first dates, but not a lot of second dates.
Got you. There was a particular club in Manhattan on 57th Street, if you recall that
57.
club, if you ever went to that one. Donald Trump used to go there all the time, and it was usually models that were
Um,
there consistently. I always I didn't have to wait online. I knew people, all this
Good for
stuff,
you.
but I had a
I know
blast,
exactly what
right?
you're talking about now. I know exactly. Well, there, and also
The
there's one
second floor used
on,
to have a restaurant, if you recall. The nightclub, first floor and second floor restaurant. The nightclub was in the basement. And
I do.
usually when you would go there, you saw just beautiful people. There was two times that was that because it became like common sense, right? Like a commonplace. Two times that I was blown away. One, it was twin and triplet night. Everybody in the
Oh,
place were beautiful, but I saw one beautiful person and then I saw them here and I was like, wait a minute, they were twins. Then there were triplets singing on the stage throughout the whole place. And it was incredible. Men too, men were beautiful, the women were, but there were twins or triplets. And it was pretty
wow.
interesting. The second time was a tall night, and I've never been, I'm 6'1". You're 5'10".
Yep. I'm 5'11". Well, I was 5'11".
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay. You are five.
Yeah.
You're 5'11" now. The shortest woman in this place, I had to look up to,
She
and
must
I've
have.
never seen.
So back in the 80s and 90s, there was a huge major club in New York called the Tall Club. And I was actually a member of it for a couple of years. So the Tall Club, the women had to be at least 5'10", and the men had to be at least 6'3". And it was, and when we would take over a restaurant or a club, it was crazy. But the Tall Club was like this big movement of tall people to, try to meet and intermingle and, basically couple up, to be perfectly honest. But it was, yeah, that you experienced a night of the Tall Club.
I did. It was so interesting. And usually I'm 6'1". Women are a little bit shorter than me.
Yeah.
And when I have to do this to look at a
Yeah,
beautiful
right?
woman, I'm like, "Hi, how are you?" And they're looking, "Who's this little guy?" Right? It was pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
No, I actually
What
wondered if
was?
the Tall Club still existed, but I was a member for a little while, and it was, I mean, all of the women. There were women in the Tall Club who were 6'5".
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. So those were the two nights at this particular club, and when I used to, my waiter of choice was Abraham, and every time I used to bring people, and he would be like, "Oh, Mr. Gomez, we have your table ready." It was such a great experience. Obviously, it's closed for a while now. When you consider the jobs that you went on, all the different things
Mm,
that you had to be at certain parties because you needed to be seen, the
mhm.
opportunities that flowed your way. What would
Yeah.
you say is one of the ones that really made a difference in your career?
Um, the Probably the opportunities that came my way. The biggest shift for me came when my agent called me and said, so I had, well, okay, I'll back it up just a little bit. I had a good month or maybe even 3 months of just once I had finished college. So I studied to be a sportscaster. So I knew I wanted to be in
Mm,
television. And I was really struggling to get a job. This was, again, early 90s. There were really only like three big women in sports. There was Willow Bay, there was Andrea Joyce. Um, not a lot of women in sports. And I
right.
really wanted to, and I had studied to be a sportscaster. So, and then while I was actually at this big conference called, it was called RTNDA, the Radio Television News Directors Association. It was like their big conference where I was trying to get a job. I was recruited by QVC, interestingly. And
Mm,
so I'd gone through all this QVC training, and I thought, because I wasn't sure I was going to go into television, and they offered this training. Um, and then I got rejected by QVC at that time. So I couldn't get a job in TV. QVC had rejected me. Or I couldn't get a job as a newscaster. QVC had rejected me, and I was just so down. And my agent called me and said, I know this is crazy, but I was up last night at midnight, and I saw this crazy ad for a show called Starting Over. I don't know. I just think you should go. And so
mm.
that was number one. Then I was at the gym. I was literally on the treadmill, and I saw if you're looking to change your life, whatever. And I saw the caption come across this call for a show called Starting Over. I was like, huh. And then I got home from the gym. And so I talked to my agent that morning. I had seen that scroll across the TV. And then I got home from the gym, and a friend of mine was like, I was up late last night. I don't know why. I think you should do this. So I got 3 messages like within a little bit of time. So I went on this audition, and I got the job as I was one of the first 6 women to enter the Starting Over house, which was this crazy, amazing NBC show. It was a daytime reality show. It was from the producers of The Real World and Santa Barbara. So they wanted to bring the world of soap opera and reality to daytime television. And it was about 6 women who wanted to change their life in some way, and they all came to live in this house. And I was cast as one of the first 6 women on Starting Over, which ended up being a hugely successful show. And from that show, they actually created a place for me. I became the beauty and style expert on that show, because as the women came into the house, and as I was working, I was in the house myself, I was making the women over. I was like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's like TV cameras all everywhere, and you need help. So I started kind of doing my magic within the show, and I became the beauty and style expert on that show. So that was a huge break for me. Now, you have to know that if I had not had a double master's in media studies and broadcast journalism, if I had not, gone through all that QVC training, if I had not 100% been ready for that role or for that position, then things probably would not have ended up that way. But that was a huge break and a real turning shift in my life.
Wow, beautiful. And also the fact that you were actually looking out for them, right? That you were
Oh, that's true.
helping them, right? Think about that.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of times this is the precipice of reality. And a lot of times I think people get lost in, at least at that point, I don't really think that they understood that we were being filmed constantly. So like, this is going to go out to millions of people. You need to tighten that up a little bit. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Andy, what I would love to do is, if you can do in the private chat, if you can put whatever website you want us to put across the screen, we can do that for you. In doing so, you earlier told me that you were on a specific show helping people with their makeup or the way they look.
That's true. So, I actually was in a very bad accident 15 years ago. And so I had spent years in front of the camera in many ways, and had a very successful career in reality television as a makeover person. I did the show 10 Years Younger, How Do I Look? So I was one of the glam squad on 10 Years Younger for years. And when I had my accident, I actually cut off my right foot. And it was it was pretty traumatic.
Wow.
And so I was basically told that they didn't know if they could get it back on, my foot back on, and they didn't know, if I'd be walking again. So I figured the thing that I really needed to do was shift from being in front of the camera to being behind the camera. So one of the first jobs that I took once, I kind of rehabilitated myself, I was hair, makeup, and wardrobe on Celebrity Apprentice. And that came through a client of mine. So I used to work with a lot of people one-on-one. And one of those people was Lisa Lampanelli, who is a comedian. And I worked with her throughout her career. And when she started on Celebrity Apprentice, she refused to go on the show without me. And they're like, well, that means we'll have to hire her because you're not allowed to bring private. And so she basically forced them to hire me, which led to me doing hair, makeup, and wardrobe on Celebrity Apprentice, which was quite an experience.
Did you wind up just doing hair and makeup for her, or did you do it for others?
No, I had to do it for everybody. So once you're hired on the show, you're part of the team. So of course
That's
I did
pretty
it just
cool.
for her. Yeah, but no, I worked on the show, so I was definitely a part of the show. Like I said, she did not want to do the show without me, and so she forced that, which was lovely and wonderful. And no, I worked with everybody. I worked with the Trumps, and I worked with all the celebrities. And it like I said, it was an amazing experience. I learned a lot, and I have shared a lot of that experience. You know, I had written a book called, before I started this, I had written a book called Style on a Shoestring. And I was able to really take that book and honestly prove it out. Because, you know, Celebrity Apprentice, we're talking about, you know, C-level celebrities who are looking to up-level their game in some way and be perceived in a new way and be you know, kind of showcased in a new light. And I was able to translate all of the tips and tricks from my book to a lot of the celebrities within the show. So it was a great experience, and it was wonderful validation for my book, which, you know, has now been translated into Spanish and Chinese, and is available.
Really?
In like, I don't know how many. Yeah. So that was great too.
So where can we pick up that book?
You can pick up the book anywhere. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Yeah, it's still out. It's in its second publication. So it's called Style on a Shoestring. Yeah, you can definitely find it for sure. And it works.
I love the fact that you were able to prove your concept, right? Because a lot of people can't prove it, and so people don't take their word for it. But you were able to do that. That's beautiful.
Well, and all of the tips and tricks that are in my book really came from my experience. I mean, moving to New York at 17 as a high school dropout, basically from a dirt road, you know, you're in a very glamorous situation where you need to have perceived glamour, perceived wealth, perceived luxury. And, you know, meanwhile, I'm living in a 10 by 10 box on 105th Street. But there needed to be this perception of status. And so, you know, my grandmother was a master sewer. And so she, you know, taught me how to sew, and I understood how to thrift things and how to remake things. And so I also understood that, you know, fit is the key to having something look expensive. So even if you go, you know, buy a $10 shirt, if you can put a $10 or $20 alteration into it, it can look like a $300 shirt. So these are just some of the tips and tricks that I was able to do within, you know, a show like Celebrity Apprentice, and I've done within my life, you know, and you'll find plenty of tips and tricks and strategies on how to look like a million without spending a fortune in my book, Style on a Shoestring.
Wow, I love it. I love it. When you and one of the things that you said is when you show up, right? How you show up and how you're perceived.
Yeah.
But it's also posture. As a model, obviously, you know that, right? Posture is everything. But also it's eye contact, the words you use, everything, even the way you stand, right? Every little thing tells a story, whether you're inviting or non, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me
Sure.
about, go ahead. So
Well,
you did something that I think it's pretty clever. You took everything. Oh, there goes my camera. I apologize for that, but my
that's
camera
okay.
likes to do certain things certain times. Let me shut that. I thought that feature was off. So what winds up happening is you created something to allow people in a snap to be able to maybe fix their lipstick, maybe get their phone. Talk to us about your invention.
Oh, yeah. So the Girly Go Garter is a hands-free purse that you wear on your leg.
Mm,
And the reason that I invented it, so I invented it as a mic pack holder for television and film, because being in television, at least in reality television, in the early days, there were no kind of labor laws, no union laws. And so it was not uncommon for me to wear a mic pack and an IFB, those transmitters kind of attached to my bra for like 12 to 16 hours a day. And so if
right.
you're filming a show for, 6 weeks and you're wearing a microphone constantly, I started to get water blisters on my back from having to wear those packs all the time. So
Right.
I asked for something, I went to audio and I asked for something to wear on my leg. And everything that they gave me would fall off the minute you got hot and sweaty, or it just didn't work very well.
Right.
So I fashioned it out of like a workout shirt and some hot glue and some bra attachments. I created my first girly go garter. And then it worked a little bit, but when I got hot and sweaty, it would kind of fall down. So after I cut my foot off and I didn't know if I was ever going to walk again, or at least walk properly, I got a very strong message from the universe and God that I really needed to birth this, that I needed to work on it, and I needed to bring it into the universe. And so the Girly Go Garter is now the #1 product used for people who are insulin dependent. It will hold your insulin pump. We also do a huge studio service business for microphone packs. It will hold up to 3 pounds. It adheres to your leg. So it adheres to your leg, and then you can load the pockets all the way around. We've won all kinds of awards. We're sold in over 90 countries. We're patented in 19 countries. It's been a huge success, which I'm very, very proud of. I never thought that I'd be an inventor, but when you have to sit still to let your foot heal, you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do next? And I got a really strong message. And so from the hospital bed, I started working on the Girly Go Garter. I learned a lot about patenting. I learned a lot about, manufacturing. And I was determined to bring this to life. And I did. We are 15 years, not quite. We're 12 years into sales. And it's been amazing. It's been amazing.
Brigitte says, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
The
I should put
girly
girlygogarter.com. Yeah, I'll put it.
Yeah,
in there.
you should
I'll
do
put it
that. I'll throw it up there so people can take a look at it. So I'm considering, would I be able to wear one of those if I have so many things? Maybe I have to get some MC Hammer pants so that it'll give me space, right? Can't wear tight jeans on that one.
The thing about the Girly Go Garter is men do wear it. I have an entire bagpipe fan who wear kilts, who wear Girly Go Garters, which makes me so happy.
Beautiful.
I have some pictures of that. And then my dad actually just very lovingly used to wear one whenever he was traveling to conceal extra money and cash and things like that. So I do have some men who do wear them.
Okay, then because I do travel, sometimes I think it's going to have to go in my bag. Or better yet, not my bag, my leg, right?
Yes, on your leg. No one would ever find it.
That's it. But you don't want to conceal a weapon when you're going through customs.
Not
through customs.
Yeah. We are used for concealment, though. So it was important to me that the Girly Go Garter be able to carry 3 pounds. That was a real measurement, a milestone for me. And originally that was because of the IFB and the transmitter. I wanted you to be able to carry 2 transmitters. But it has become a real marker because the 3 pound mark will allow you to carry small weapons. So I actually just got an amazing email from a realtor back in November who said, I've been meaning to write this for the longest time. I can't tell you what it means to me to be able to go to an open house that I have set up and be able to have a small weapon on me, in a beautiful dress, because it is a little scary for me to tell the universe where I'm going to be, what time, and have the doors open to anybody who comes in. So to know that I have got, a small weapon on me, if anything were to ever happen in this house that I'm showing, has been a huge relief, and it's offered me a lot of security. And she just sent me a thank you note in November. And so there are people who use it for weapons carriage, which, I actually love. I love that I created something that can make a realtor feel safe in a situation that could turn really ugly for her.
Wow, that's beautiful. Every real estate agent out there, go get one. You need one. Wow. What a great way not only to conceal a weapon, because it is so scary for a woman to say, I'm going to be here. The doors are open. Come get me. Wow, that is so scary. But the fact that now they can have the peace of mind to say, hey, you know what, if I need something, it's right there. I love it.
Yeah.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
So I did. I mean, that one letter has meant so much to me. And as a business owner, I can remember learning in school that every one letter represents at least 100 voices. So I know that one letter, there's at least 100 realtors out there who have experienced that, or people who've experienced that. So that's the way that I always look at that too.
Right. And the ones who don't know about it, go tell your friends if you don't know about it. If they're a realtor, safety is number one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Me, because I do teach martial arts, it's one
Yes,
of the
you
most
do.
important things. And I teach women how to defend themselves. So I'm going to actually recommend this to every woman that comes. I give them little alarms when they come to take a self defense course or so forth. But now,
Awesome.
Girly Go Garter is going to
Yeah,
be
they can
part
put that
of.
alarm there. You know,
That's right.
it's great.
That's right.
There's so many situations where, these days you just can't carry a purse. You're not allowed to carry a purse unless it's see-through. Into a stadium, girls going to prom, you're not allowed to
Mm,
bring a purse to prom. Concerts. There's just, you go to a festival, you don't want to lug a
mhm.
bag. I mean, oftentimes a bag can make you a target. A handbag can make you a target. So just knowing that you can have something, just tucked on, attached to your leg, tucked underneath, your skirt. It is for skirts or rompers or shorts. Is a great kind of security device that, I know that a lot of people use it for that, which is great.
I love it. I love it. Let me ask you one last question about the garter. Is it one size fits all, or there's different sizing?
No, there is sizing. It's based off US
Yeah.
pant sizes, and we have 3 different sizes. We also have 3 different collections. So there's the under wraps, which is our self-competing line that's not quite as fancy. It only comes in 2 colors and 2 sizes. But that works with women up to a size 18. And then we have the Girly Go Garter, which comes in 3 sizes and 7 colors, and it works with women up to a size 24.
Wow. I love that you have created this so now you can be a hands-free badass woman.
Yeah, I mean, it's very
Love it.
liberating to go out without a handbag. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. You you have sold this on QVC?
Actually, no. Believe it
Not
or not,
yet?
I wish I could. I mean, I'm on QVC all the time, but
Mm.
you have to understand the QVC customer. So the QVC customer skews into the 50s, and so they have never picked me up to sell the Girly Go Garter on QVC. I can't believe it, but they have not. So
They will now. They will now.
maybe, yeah,
We're
maybe.
gonna we're gonna rally behind you for sure.
Oh,
Um,
that's so sweet.
well, and here's Raj who says totally agree, going out without a purse is so freeing, right?
Yeah.
You have been on QVC multiple of times, and you
Oh, yeah.
are there with another celebrity. Tell us how was that? How that was for your first time coming out there?
Well, I think you remember in our earlier conversation, I went through a lot of QVC training and then never made it to air.
Mm,
So to get the call over COVID, because during COVID, everything changed and they weren't doing anything in studio, so they needed people who could do their own hair and makeup, who could do their own lighting, who could do their own camera work, who could basically support sales from home.
right.
So, I got the notice and I started working with QVC from home. And so it's been like 5 years now that I have been a part of the QVC family as a guest host. And what I am is I'm a brand ambassador. So if you've invented something or if you have a product that you would like someone else to represent or you don't feel comfortable being on air, I go on air as the expert of that product, and I share how to use it, all of the tricks, the benefits, everything that you can imagine about that product. I represent that product, and I am in the beauty and style sector. So there's lots of amazing products that I'm able to represent and to co-host in the sale on QVC. Now, within my role on General Hospital, I am the fictitious, I should say, host on Home and Heart. So Home and
Mm.
Heart within General Hospital is a storyline about this home shopping network. And my guest host on Home and Heart is Morgan Fairchild.
Wow.
I
She is
know.
amazing. She is
Amazing.
amazing. Yeah,
Amazing.
totally.
And the whole reason that I got the job on General Hospital as, this home shopping host is because a couple of the producers that I used to work with in reality television went on, of course, to other jobs and other projects. And two of them are now working on General Hospital, and they saw on LinkedIn that I was a QVC co-host, and so they offered me the job on like a Friday, and I was signing the contract on a Tuesday. So this is my very first acting job, and to think my very first acting job, I'm standing next to Morgan Fairchild is just incredible.
That is really incredible.
Yeah.
She is obviously, besides beautiful and gorgeous and everything else, right? Um, Tell us about the relationship that you have built along the way.
Well, my relationship with Morgan Fairchild is, only through work, but I will tell you that she is generous and gracious. So I have a funny story about that. So the amount of production that is done on any soap opera is unbelievable. They create 250 hours of network television a year, which is
Mm,
it's next level.
right.
And what is expected of you once you're on set is crazy. You get one filmed practice and one filmed take. So you basically get two shots to get all of your lines and
Mm,
to get everything down. That's not a lot, let me just tell you. So, and as being someone who I'm very comfortable conveying, the features and benefits of a product, or, getting all of the information out in a way that, I have basically created in my head. But a soap opera is different. We're talking about acting. You have to say the words that these Emmy-winning writers have written. So you have to memorize the lines and then
mhm,
act as if they're your lines, right? So
right.
I was really struggling with the word new. And I had to say new with the new deception, I had to say that. So I had my two shots. I had done and I could not get the word new. And Mrs. Fairchild, God bless her, she turned to the producer and she's like, I feel like I could do better as well. Why don't we take one more shot? So she helped me get the
Ah,
dreaded
yes.
third take on my last scene, which I know that sounds crazy, but they are so fast. You don't get three takes, but I did get the word
Mm,
in new as soon as she gave me the permission for my third take. I was not going to screw that up again. But she's gorgeous. She's generous. She's kind. She works so hard, and she's just everything that you can imagine, or everything that you'd want, kind of like your celebrity crush to be. Um,
mhm.
the first day we worked together, she had been there for 13 hours. She had a 5 a.m. call, and our scenes were not being shot until 6:30 that night. So she had been like
Wow.
on and ready and practicing for. I mean, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. So I
Mm.
don't have anything bad to say about her at all. I mean, she's amazing, and I just want to be her when I grow up.
I got to tell you, my take on Morgan Fairchild is such a classy, amazingly gorgeous woman. Classy
No,
is
you're
what
right.
comes to my mind. Yes, she's gorgeous. She's everybody wants to put her on a wall, right? Or everybody wants to go to dinner with her. But for me, the word classy truly stands out when I think of her. Beautiful.
No, you're right. I mean, she's a classic beauty for sure. She's maintained just an elegance and a grace. So it's a real honor to be able to call her a co-host.
It's beautiful. Andy, we're getting to that point where I really want to talk about General Hospital. It
Yeah.
is, from what I recall, I asked people, have you ever seen General Hospital? Like, yeah, I used to watch it when I was a kid. And isn't it the only soap opera that's still around when all the other ones went to the side?
Yeah, it's the longest running show in television history. So it's been on for 61 years. The fan
Wow.
base is still ravenous. They there are fans. I just went to the national fan convention in Memphis for
Mm.
General Hospital, and there were groups of people, their families with 4 generations of fans. I actually met a woman who stood in line for my autograph, who started watching the show when it was black and white and 30 minutes long.
Oh
So the fans
my
are still
God.
there. They tend to garner anywhere from 2 to 3 million viewers a day, but everything is
Mm.
changing. So what's happening, even with the reason why I'm a part of the show is because people are wanting to stream and kind of avoid the ads. And so I'm really I'm spearheading a project where they are starting to license some of the products within the show, like the Deception Beauty, Deception Cosmetics. Those products are now becoming a reality. And so as they license products for the fans and for the people who love General Hospital, whether it's hair care or purses or anything like that, they bring those to the fictional Home and Heart, set. I pitch them to you within the show, and then they're available for sale within shophomeandheart.com. So, as we are watching, television in a new way and trying to avoid the ads, the creators of television are just coming up with new and interesting ways to continue to generate revenue. And so I'm a part of that.
That is brilliant. I got to tell you, because are they going to have a QR code when the product shows up, and then you can go to the website? I think that is a brilliant, brilliant idea, because this is why I have no commercials on my show, because I don't want to lose people saying, "Oh, here comes a commercial." And
Yep.
personally, I skip through all the commercials when I'm listening to a podcast or a show, or that's why streaming has become so popular, because people don't want to sit there and watch the same commercial over and over. So I believe it's brilliant. What General Hospital is doing is next level.
Well, I think it's going to revolutionize the way that we watch television. So now what's happening, there's actually 2 new shows that are being created that are taking this concept and building the show around it. In other words,
Mm.
so the show is being created, and everything within the show, whether it's a light or bedding or hair care products, everything within the show is consumable and available for purchase on a website
Wow.
that is being built in tandem with the show. So, you think about it, what if we could have bought Fonzie's jacket?
Ooh.
Or, what if we could have had like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air sneakers or anything like that? So now then everything that you're watching is going to have a consumer element to it.
Mm. Love it. I would just prefer if they clean their sneakers first and their
Well,
jacket.
yes, of
But
course.
some
But
people want the real feel, right?
well, that's true. Actually, all of that is in the Smithsonian in Washington. But you know what I'm saying? Like
I
if we could
absolutely.
purchase those things that we love. I can remember, in the 90s, I was obsessed with this poster that Carrie Bradshaw had on her a wall in her apartment at Sex and the City, and I went down this rabbit hole trying to find this poster. I wanted it. I wanted it. I never found it. But to think that as you're watching a show now, if there's anything that you want, you can actually consume it, I think is going to revolutionize the way we watch TV.
Oh, I love it. For example, if I wanted to buy that lamp behind you, there
Yeah.
would be a click. I can click. I can go get the same lamp. If I wanted the lipstick or the eyeliner or the
Yes.
shirt you're wearing, right?
Yes.
Same
Yes.
here. If you wanted some of the trinkets I have here, um, my shirt, my whatever. I
Yeah.
love that concept, that idea that we can now enter into a new space of marketing.
Yeah.
It's
That's
brilliant.
that's exactly what's happening. So again, they called it soap operas for a reason because soap used to pay for it. So if we
Mm.
want to avoid the ads and we don't care if soap is paying for it, they have to figure out another way to pay for it.
That's it. That's it. That's a brilliant idea, because they here's the thing, like Blockbuster didn't listen to what is being said. They're no longer
That's
around.
right. Yeah.
And
The same is
General,
true for
General,
Sears and Roebuck. I mean, Sears and Roebuck had it
who? I'm just
made.
kidding.
Exactly. I mean, think about. I mean, getting the Sears catalog was like the biggest deal,
Oof.
to people in rural areas. But they didn't, believe in the modern era. So no one's getting the Sears and Roebuck catalog.
See, Raj would be buying stuff right now because she's always looking at the set to then go looking it up, just like you did.
Yep.
This is why I think that a lot of placement of, for example, I have this, and if I hold this cup up, somebody's going to
Yeah.
go, I need that cup, right? That's why all the brands are going to make sure that their logo is held up correctly at the end of a game or in the middle,
Yeah.
or if a celebrity's holding something. This is why a lot of times they black out the caps if somebody's wearing a cap and it's not,
That's true.
they're not getting paid for it, they black it out. But
Right.
now, whatever you wear can be sold.
Yeah.
Beautiful. What do you think is going to happen with General Hospital because of the innovation that they're going with?
I hope it's going to help sustain the show. I mean, you don't
Mhm.
want the show to go away. And they still have a strong enough fan base and viewership that, I think that show will hopefully be able to sustain itself. But the interesting thing is, there was a huge pendulum shift away from scripted daytime television to more news magazines. But as news magazines have become so polarizing and
Mm.
so difficult to watch and just politically minded, there is now two new daytime dramas that are being introduced and in development right now. So I do believe that scripted television for daytime is coming back. I
Mm.
know it is. Two new ones are being created. So I think that, daytime magazine shows are just going out of vogue because we've just talked and talked and talked until we don't want to talk anymore. And we're ready to kind of escape into scripted television. So I do think that it's going to last. And I think that they've made it through the pendulum swing, and I think it's back. And I hope that they see, 75, 100 years.
Oh, absolutely. It's interesting. So, would you say that General Hospital is also going to go into the streaming portion
Oh, they
of
already are.
the
You can
way?
stream. Yeah, you can stream.
Okay.
Yeah, you can stream General Hospital on Hulu. So yeah, they already
Mm,
are. Yeah, for sure.
beautiful. When you consider your take on General Hospital, how did you get that part?
I got the part because there were two producers who remembered me as someone who will show up on time, be ready, put their best foot forward, is looking to make a situation better, and always help out. And they just had good memories of working with me. And I'm really fortunate that, the seeds that I had planted, continue to bear fruit in everything that I do. So that's how I got that role. I wish that, I auditioned and I begged and I pleaded, but I just was at the right place, and working with those producers at the right time. And this need came up, and I'm really fortunate that I'm now the latest cast member.
Andy,
Yeah.
your website is getting some love right now. So
Thank you.
thank
I
you,
appreciate
Raj.
that. I
Yeah, yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah.
Yeah.
When you
Well, I have loved this so much, but I unfortunately am going to have to run.
boogie boogie, I got you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the show. I am so blessed that we got to know each other a little bit and you were able to share your life story with us a little bit. We need to have
Yeah.
you
I'm
on
sorry
again.
to leave you. I would
No
love that.
problems.
I'm happy to be on
Thank you.
again. You are an amazing interviewer, and I appreciate your time. I've enjoyed our conversation. You are an amazing person.
Thank you. Likewise. And have fun at your next one.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye now.